Look, I want to talk to you about another fear tactic that's being used by the left-wing media, and that is to connect Donald Trump with Project 2025, something that Donald Trump has repeatedly distanced himself from, and he's described it as extreme.
I don't know what the hell it is. It's Project 25. He's involved in Project, and then they read some of the things, and they are extreme. I mean, they're seriously extreme. But I don't know anything about it. I don't want to know anything about it. But what they do is misinformation and disinformation, and they keep saying, he's a threat to democracy. I'm saying, what the hell did I do for democracy? Last week, I took a bullet for democracy.
Project 2025 leader Paul Dans has stepped down as the Harris campaign continues to falsely connect this project to Donald Trump. But will this be the end of it?
No, I don't think it will be, because they've decided that this is a good poll-tested attack against Donald Trump, but it's a really bad faith smear because Trump has condemned this Project 2025, this pretty radical conservative agenda from the Heritage Foundation here. He's condemned it in extraordinarily strong terms. Unlike I've seen him condemn many things, honestly. He's not a big condemner, but he's gone out of his way over and over again to distance himself from this project because some of the ideas in it are very radical and very unpopular. But they want to tie this to him, even though he's put out an actual agenda, a Republican Party platform that is the Trump platform that people can go look. And the most controversial parts of Project 2025, like banning abortion medications, like banning all pornography, those things are nowhere to be found in Trump's actual platform. Right. So it seems to me to be deeply unfair to judge a candidate and assign to him blame and responsibility for this is what he'll do, Project 2025, when he's vocally repudiated it over and over again, and also put out a separate agenda that is quite different in many of the key and most controversial policies. Now, it's true Trump has some ties to it. Some of the people involved in creating it worked in his White House, and the Heritage Foundation is an influential conservative group. But people who understand politics understand that there's always activist groups creating agendas and white papers and trying to push them in the background. It doesn't mean those ideas are going to all see the light of day, or even that most of them will. It's purely aspirational. So these ideas, some of them I think make a lot of sense in this document. Some of them I think are a little bit Looney Tunes. But ultimately, you can't pin them on Trump when over and over again he said, I don't support this. But that is what mainstream media is doing. And it's the kind of thing that they would so quickly call misinformation or disinformation, or even call to be censored if it was conservatives or Trump supporters that were doing it. But because it's to take down the guy they really don't like, I guess any means are justifying any ends in their mind.
Absolutely. Facebook can classify that iconic shot of Donald Trump with his fist in the air after getting shot as misinformation. It's, of course, corrected that, but it's absolutely insane. Look, just when we thought it couldn't get any more embarrassing for the Secret Service, it has.
My question is, why don't you relieve everybody of duty who made bad judgment? So, yeah, you're right. I am zeroing in on somebody. I'm trying to find somebody who's accountable here. And you're telling me that the person who made the decision not to include this in the perimeter has not been relieved of duty. What about the person who's in charge of the interoperability of radio frequencies between local law enforcement and Secret Service? Has that person been relieved of duty?
No, Senator, because interoperability is a challenge, is a greater challenge than just one person. On that day, we had a counterpart system. It failed spectacularly.
As the person who made the decision to send Donald Trump onto stage knowing that you had a security situation, has that person been relieved of duty?
No, sir, they haven't.
Has the person who decided not to pull the former president off of stage when you knew that, in your words, the locals were working a serious security situation, has that person been relieved of duty?
No, sir. Again, I refer you back to my original answer that we are investigating this through a mission assurance. And as opposed to zeroing in on one,
what more do you need to investigate to know
exactly what the decision-making process was? What more do you need to investigate
to know that there were critical enough failures that some individuals ought to be held accountable? I mean, what more do you need to know?
It gets more and more upsetting the more I watch it. 3 weeks on, no answers. Are we ever going to get some answers from the Secret Service?
Not unless we hold their feet to the fire, clearly, because if anybody with common sense was running these agencies, heads would already have rolled. But the people involved in this epic security failure have not been fired, the people that actually made the bad calls. And that's just the kind of thing you'd never see in the private sector. I mean, if this was a private company where this had been where they had this kind of failure, I think people would have been fired on the spot. The very
Yeah,
next day, the
absolutely.
entire security division would have been replaced. But they can continue to, I guess, just cash taxpayer checks and pedal on in their bureaucracy. And there might not be real accountability unless we hold their feet to the fire, because this is a bloated and clearly dysfunctional institution, the Secret Service. And gosh, I mean, we all got so lucky that that bullet missed by just a couple of inches, because of course, you just, first of all, don't want to see a man killed, a man with a family. But secondly, the absolute chaos our country would have been thrown into, the risk of political violence, of instability, everything. We were so close to the brink. It's genuinely, honestly, so amazing in a sense that bullet missed, because the horrors that our country would have experienced, I can't put them into words, to be honest, if it had gone differently. I think it would have been extraordinarily dark for America. So we got incredibly lucky, because there were all these security failures. And at the end of the day, tragedy did occur, of course. Some people were killed and hurt, and many people were traumatized, but it could have been so much worse. And the fact that we're not getting heads rolling and actual accountability. I mean, we did, of course, get the Biden appointee to step down after enormous pressure, who was leading the agency, but it should be way beyond that. There should be way more. I mean, this is the kind of thing that should never, ever be acceptable. But in a bloated government bureaucracy where they can just cash taxpayer checks all day, I guess they think they can get away with this, but it's really something.
And it's really scary. There's still a few months left to go until November 5. Who knows whether there's going to be another attempt? Hopefully not. The other point to make is I just think it's so brave to see Donald Trump up on stage back in Pennsylvania. He took a bullet, and less than 3 weeks, he's back rallying. Anyway, we've got those pictures that we'll show to you later on in the program. But before I let you go, Brad, Kamala Harris is holding a marginal 1-point lead over Donald Trump in a new Reuters Ipsos poll. The poll found that Kamala Harris is supported by 43% of registered voters, and former President Donald Trump is supported by just 42%. Well, why is she all of a sudden so popular? I would love to get your thoughts. But do you think this honeymoon period is going to last, Brad?
No, I don't. I mean, back when she ran for president in 2020 under her own presidential campaign in the Democratic primary, she originally was doing quite well. She had big leads in a lot of the polls. She was kind of the media flavor of the month. But as the campaign went on, her really just being very bad at politics came out and was on full display. Her many gaffes, her flip-flopping on policies, all of that became clear, and she plummeted and eventually dropped out before the Iowa caucuses. So her campaign went up in flames. She's having a bit of a moment. It is a honeymoon phase right now. The media has switched overnight and is all in lockstep about praise Queen Kamala, but her vulnerabilities will become clear. She has a quite radical record. In 2019, she was rated as the most left senator in the U.S. Senate. She's got radical positions on everything from fracking to transgender issues to abortion to many other things that will haunt her. All of this, the attack ads are being written right now. So I would expect her to come back down to earth in the polling, and for this race to really tighten up in the coming weeks, because she's having a little bit of a bump now, but I think it's a sugar high, and I do think there's going to be a crash soon.
We will wait and see. Brad Polumbo, so great to speak with you, I should say, on Power Hour. Thank you so much.
Thanks.